If you recognise this piece of music, then you probably know what game this is from. Whether you love it or hate it, Minecraft has one of the most relaxing while at the same time emotional soundtracks in all of video game history. Created by German composer Daniel Rosenfeld or C418, Minecraft's Volume Alpha and Beta soundtracks define a generation. Ask anyone that's played Minecraft in the last 10 years and they'll all tell you the same thing. The soundtrack reminds them of simpler times where the biggest worry was the deadline of some homework. You would finish school, hop onto the family computer, and lose yourself in several hours of a Minecraft world. It's hard to talk about any piece of music from the game that I really don't like. What you're listening to now is a piece called Wet Hands, a soft, repetitive piece of music accompanied only by piano. And most of the soundtrack is structured in a similar fashion. Gentle piano melodies, alluring beats of a glockenspiel, the coddling hum of strings, stretched over a blissful, transportative 3.5-hour runtime. Simple and unintrusive are two of the best words I can use to describe the soundtrack of Minecraft. You can be playing the game for hours and have no idea that several tracks have already played and finished, effortlessly weaving themselves into the gameplay. It really helps to pull you into the world, holding you there in the bosom of comfort and safety. There really is nothing like the original soundtracks of Minecraft. If you want to give the soundtrack a listen, then I'd recommend listening to Minecraft Volume Alpha, the original album with the most iconic pieces of the Minecraft soundtrack. It's really hard to think that a soundtrack could be made to perfectly fit an artificial world, but C418 somehow managed it. Let's take a moment to break down one of the most iconic pieces of music in the game, Sweden. Sweden has no opening, no grand disclaimer that it's arrived. Instead, Sweden begins slowly and methodically, fading a gently played piano into the foreground. It's subtle, and it might take a few seconds to realise it's begun, but it's there. The piece takes its time. It welcomes itself with a basic structure. The pianist's left hand gives us our root notes, and for every second root note, we get a chord. It loops the same progression 3 times before the main melody begins. The melody sweeps across the foreground, complementing the now familiar note progression. When the main melody reaches its 3rd bar, we're greeted with a new layer, a chorus of strings, seemingly effortlessly swaying from one chord to the next. And then, after both instruments have come to a crescendo, everything stops. We go back to the piano by itself, almost sounding like it's closing out the song. The piano hangs on for one more chord and then fades. After several seconds, we hear the melody return. However, this time, it's not played on a piano. This time, the melody is played with pizzicato, or the plucking of violin strings. We get a couple of loops of this when the piano proudly marches back into the track, playing the melody more proud than ever before. And then, just as quickly as the piano came in, it begins to fade out. Not only in terms of volume, but the complexity of the melody as well. As the piano fades, we hear a simpler, more broken down version of what we've gotten used to. The piece continues for a few more loops, getting progressively more distant, and then silence. We then go back to building and mining, just as we were doing before, but the world feels slightly more empty than it was previously. We're left by ourselves to stew and contemplate on what we just heard, eagerly waiting for the next piece to start. This is the impact of the Minecraft soundtrack. Sweden is a perfect example of why the soundtrack is so memorable and nostalgic to so many people. It welcomes itself with warm, open arms. It holds on to us and reminds us that things will be okay, and then it leaves, leaving us to patiently wait for it to come back again. I want to take a moment to let you listen to some more of the early Minecraft soundtrack. Have a listen, and then we'll come back and discuss things a little bit more. And I've chosen some very pleasant visual pieces to accompany them. So how do you feel? Sad, emotional, happy, nostalgic, hungry? The music of Minecraft evokes so many different emotions for what it is, and what it is beautiful. Many of us have spent so much time mining, building, crafting, exploring, hunting, farming, all while listening to this music. So many memories of moments sparked just by a couple of seconds of one piece of music. I'm not ashamed to say that I listen to this music in my daily life because it's relaxing, but one thing that I will say is that there will never be another soundtrack like Minecraft's. It's a time where a lot of us were dealing with issues that were out of our control. It was always comforting to know that Minecraft and its soundtrack was there for us. It really helps to pull you into the world, holding you there into the bosom of the... I don't know why that's funny.